The mixer, accordingly, was bluntly broached and in the best basil to boot as to whether he was one of those lucky cocks. The party ambush was laid, roughly spouting around half hours twixt dusk and dawn, by water hoses Middle European time, near Stop and Think, High Chief Ever Byron's and only abfowl tree in all the land. There was not as much light from the widowed moon as would dim a child's altar. The mixer, accordingly, was bluntly broached and in the best basil to boot as to whether he was one of those lucky cocks for whom the audible, visible, noseable, edible world existed. That he was only too cognitively, cogit abundantly sure of it because, living, loving, breathing, and sleeping morpho melosopho pancreates, as he most significantly did, whenever he thought, he heard, he saw, he felt, he made a bell, clipper, 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 clipper. Whether he was practically sure, too, of his lugs and true his names in this king and blows man business, that he was, ridiculously so. Certified, as can be. Be lying. Be alone, I will. It was morbus or somebody. A quite. Saturday's sun, a Saturn Wednesday. And how did the green-eyed mister arrive at the BA? That it was like his pole. A cross-grained trapper with murty-odd oaks, off-larated airs, inquiline nays, and a twitcherous mouth? He would be. Who could bid you at to a 10-yard full when asked called? Batter dropper. Some major bore, too. Eagerness. And with tumblerous legs, read it nominated. Helming American wine, Rotter Egg, Cromwell Odin, Maximus Esme Saxon, Asa Versing, Getterix, Ethelwolf, Ruprecht, Didwalla, Bentley, Osmond, Dice Harty, Grasselman. Holy St. Heaven, the very phoenix. It was Chudley Magnol once more between the devil dates and the dumb scene. The two child spies were pressing him answer to Falog, but the renting of his rock was from the three-wicked Vancouvers forest, bent down a wits, I'm sure. You betty Cumberland comes. One of the Oxmen's thingabosses, what? And had he been refreshed by the founts of bounty, playing There Is a Pain a Land in Long's gurgling barrel? The loss of Lord Edward and the lack of Sir Philip the Surgeon at Showerdown could suck more gargling bubbles out of the 5 lamps in Potteram's praise. Wirgling and married, as who wouldn't, laving his leaf time in Blackpool. But of course, he could call himself 10-2 if he had time to. You but he could any time. When he pleased, win and place. A stoker, tempted by eavesdripping against the driver who was a witness as well. Sacred avatar, how the devil did they get it? 2 dreamiums in 1 bromium, yes, and no error, and both as like as a duel of lentils, precisely. So, he was pelted out of the Coram popular, was he? Be the powers that be, he was. The prince, in principle, should not expose his person. Machiavelli. Ruske man, camarade? Sooner Galwegian, he would say. Not unintoxicated, fair witness, drunk as a fisher. Asked to whether she minded whether he smoked, not if he barked into flames, and then his ejaculations to his cross-can lawn cosset. It was corso in curso on courser again. But gracious miss, was we not doubt sensible how Yellowatty on the Fox was altered? That she easily was, so doubt me not. As to his religion, if any, it was the See You Sunday sort. Exactly what he meant by a pederast prig. Be Jacob, just a gent who prayed his Lent. And if middle-class Portaverus was a usual beast, by night as useful as a vomit to a shorn man. If he had Ragnarized their courts-martials, that day and days he had. Lindondelly, Coke or Skillies, spare me gart without a gate. Harriet Rowe. The grazing rights, Mrs. Magistra Martinetta, expired with the expiry of the goat's sire, if they were not mistaken. That he exactly could not tell the worshipfuls, but his mothering waiters had the receipts for the price of the coffin, and that he was there to tell them that herself was the velocipede that could tell them Kit Kat. A maundering tongue in a poundering jowl. Farther order about the matters of pronunciation. Distributory endings. And we recommend, quare hirtum, no answer. Unde gentium te? Noa. Are you not dancing on the edge of a volcano? Sire, I am indeed. And how old of him? He was intended to study pulu, which was meant in a shirt of 2 shifts Macaw made, or up thin 3-hatted ladder. And a head in thighs, under a bush at the sun face, would bait a serpent to a mill race through the heather. Armed bird, colour, deaf, dumb, ethnic, fort, part. Sure, and Glunts Candy, Yot Halfison as well. Pokey Jason's then, in a Pidgeegeesis. On a pontiff's order, as sure as there's an Italian attack. As a galoli bit to just, Leally and Tululi. But why this hang-cow chaff, and whence this second tone, son yet son? He had the cowtaw in his boxer's slave face. So this, that solar sister, setting odds evens at defiance, took the lord from labour writer? What displaced Tob, Dilk and Halley, not been greatly in love with the game? And, changing the vendors from the king's head to the Republican's arms, as to the pugnacities he thinks from flagpole to antipost, during the affrays round Father Time's backside, and the regents in the Planzone reigning, with the skiddy stars and the Morcan window, how they appealed to him then? That it was wildfire's night on all the Betty Gallagher's. Mick Michael's swords shrieking shreks through the Wilkinses, and Neck and Nicholas toasting forks pricking prongs up the tunny bladders. Let there be fight, and there was fought. On the site of the angel, you said. Guinea's gap, he said, between what they said and the pussy kitties. In the middle of the garth, then, that they mustn't touch it. The devoted couple was or were only 2 dissipated solicitresses on the job of the unfortunate class on Saturn's mountain fort. That was about it, yeah. And Camillus then said to Gemellus, I should know you, perfect. And Gemellus then said to Camillus, yes, your brother, absolutely. And if it was all about that, egregious sir, about that and the other, if he was not alluding to the hole in the wall, that he was, when he was not eluding from the hole of the woman. Briefly, how such begin all finally struck him now. Like the crack that broke the bank in Multifarnham. Whether he fell in with what they meant, cursed the piece of fox he did. Tos Taurus Tomers Tom, the rudicis rotter and robuctum, Sir Topical and subhuman. If it was, in Yapanoi's language, ach, bad clap, ooh, ah, ogs and oars with Ryan O'Kelly to put it tertianly we wrong, shocking, such as tourly pierced Aurelius that he might never that night, freely and rurally, bloody awful Mecklenburg, Ura, Horus, Scorta, Strump, Horn, and any cocksnapper, stipper, tapper, topper, strip of Puffernack, eh? You have it all right. Mere Drock and Oncush. But a new complexion was put upon the matter, when to the perplexedly uncondemnatory bench, whereon Punic judgeship strove with penal law, the senior judge of all, Pegger Festi, as soon as the outer layer of stucco muck had been removed at the request of a few live jurors, declared in a loud burst of poesy, through his Britannic interpreter, on his oath, with best wishes for a very merry Christmas, whereas take notice with the relics of the bones of the storybook that was ate by Cleopatra, the sow, princess of part porters, afore God and all their honours and king's commons, that what he would swear to the tyranny of Dundalgan, or any other tyranny, if life Turkles polished him about, sure that was no steal, and that nevertheless what was deposited from their eyeballed ear, big nose, naving gut throat, he did not fire a stone, either before or after he was born, down and up to that time. And, incidentalizing, that they might talk about Marcassi, or they might walk to Ballastarte, or they might join the neighbour party and come on to Portefeuille. This the sockdolager had the neck to endorse, with the head bowed on him over his outturned nor'easter, by protesting to his lip-readers, with a just been cleaned barefacedness, a beam of moonlight hope, in the same Trelawney what he would impart, please bench, to the feud Joses, and the gentlemen and juries, and the forum masters, who had been all those yarns yearning for that good one, about why he left Dublin, that Amrita Beaker coddling doom, as an Inish man was as good as any Canton Nathal. If he was to perish by the market stake before the dawning of the morn, he could never ask to see sight or light of this world, or the other world, or any either world of Tiernan Og, as true as he was there in that jackabox that minute, or wheeled or whined, no thanks to use, the inexhaustible wassailhorn tot of Iskibosh, the hailed up the way to the unknown abgod of the fire, the moving way of the hawks with his heroes in war horror, if ever in all his exchequered career he up or lave a chancery hand to take or throw the sign of a mortal stick or stone at man, your lamb or Salvation Army, either before or after being baptized, down to that most holy and every blessed hour. Here upon the half-kneed castle knockers attempting kitogishly to lilt his holiness the pause and make the sign of the Roman Catholic faith, Charoshes brast. In his excitement, the laddo had broken extra Castilian, into which the whole audience persevered and pursued him. Oya Podrida outbroke much yalachtas from owners in the hall, in which, under the modification of Metaglin, the testifier reluctantly, but with ever so ladylike indecorum, joined. The hilario hoot of Pegger's wind-up come jostled as neatly with the tristy tone of the wet finders, as were they ische erile equals of opposite, evolved by one same power of nature or of spirit, iste, as the sole condition and means of it him on her manifestation, and polarized for union by the synthesis of their antipathies. Distinctly different were their dual destinies. Whereas the middies of the bar, a perilous Trentine, a lunarized score, when the Eranthus murmured, showed the pose, fluttered and flattered around the willingly pressed, nominating him for the swiney prize, complimenting him, the captivating youth on his having all his senses about him, stinking hyacinths through his curls, oh fiend, odor, and bringing busses to his cheeks, their masculine Irish rose, his niece and legando round his nice new neck for him, and pitsy canyoling his woolly wags, with their dindy-dandy sugar-candy macream apostine flawns, queer to believe them of all his untiring young dames, and send treats in their time. Why men? But it was not unobserved of those present their worships how, of one among all, her deputized to defeam him by the Lunar Sisters Celibacy Club, a love-looking leaf girl, all alone, Gentia Gemma of the make-giddy-culling weeks, he, wan and pale in his unmixed admiration, seemed blindly, mutely, tastelessly, tactlessly, enamoured with her upon him in shining aminglement, the shame of his hisu shifting into the shimmering of her hers, youthsy he's her chap, and shelled her mammas when she gaze whom, till the wild wish of her she melted most musically mid the dark deep of his sheshon. And whereas distracted, for was not just this in effect which had just caused that, the effect of that which it had caused to occur, before justices laid their wigs together, unches, munches, punches, and pilacs, but could do no worse than promulgate a standing verdict of Nolan's brewman, whereon after King, having murdered all the English he knew, picked out his pockets, and left the tribunal scot-free, trailing his toil on his tunic in his hurry, therein under proudly showing off the blink pitch to his breeches, to prove himself and Claesius a rail genteel. To the Swiss bodyguards, curial but court-like, Commodore Vale or hairy after generosity, the firewater lover retorted with such a vine-smelling, 42 ages raw down Hum's Tanuhide, as would turn the Latin stomach even of a Thomas Aquinas. We were prepared for the chap's flat cap, the accent but took us as by surprise, and now we're gushing it like gush-gash from a burner, so that all the 2 from 30 advocatesses within echo, pulling up their briefs at the creed cry, shun the pun man, safely and soundly soccered that feminine parish poser, how dare he, prompt to right away Hames, much to his thanks, gracias agam, to all the wrong donatrices, bis, drink battles, dingy dwellings, where, for like your true venison Esau, he was dove timid as the deers at bottom. He shat in, zoo, like the muddy gold bind who he was, done, the chastity's bells conclaiming, you and your gift of your gaff of your garbage about our father, and gang gridando, on verge now putor, scam, shan, shames. And so it all ended. Ask caveat for the king. And so everybody heard that plaint, and all listened to their applause. The letter, the litter, and the suitor, the bitter. Of eyebrow pencil, by lip stipple pen, borrowing a word and begging the question, and stealing tinder and slipping like soap. From dark Rosa Lane, a sigh and a weep. From Lesbia Louche, the beam in her eye. From lone Coogan his arrow of song. From Sean Kelly's anagram, a blush at the name. From Ian the Sullivan, that trumpeting tramp. From suffering Dufferin, the sit of her style. From Kathleen Mayvernon, her maybe fair efforts. From Philtipot Curran, his Scotch love Macreeder. From Tim Opus to Philadelphus, the weary Delirio. From Samuel Lever or Daniel Lover, that jolly old Molly bit or that bored saunter by. From Tim Finnegan's weak tribes, loss of strength to his sowheel. From the wedding on the green of Earlys, the great mass of joy boys. From Pat Mullen, Tom Mallan, Dan Meldon, Don Malden, a slick stick picnic made in moat by Muldoon. The solid man saved by his silly woman. Cracker joking away like a hearse on fire. The elm that whimpers at the top told the stone that moans when stricken. Wind broke it, wave bore it, reed wrote of it, Sice ran with it. Hand tore it, and wild went war. Hen grieved it, and flight pledged peace. It was folded with cunning, sealed with crime, up high by a harlot, undone by a child. It was life, but was it fair? It was free, but was it art? The old hunks on the hill read it to perfection. It made Ma make merry and Sissy so shy, and rub some shine off Shem and put some shame into Sean. Yet Una and Eta spill famine with rout, and Agrippa the propaster spells tribulations in his stream. Ah, fruchte, timid the Neades. Ina Milo Melamon, Frey is Frau and Swee is two, when Swoo is free, Anna Mala woe is we. A pair of sycophantes with amygdalaine eyes, one old obstinate lumpy pumpkin, and 3 meddlers on their slies. And that was how from sin from sun, a city arose, fin, fun, a sitting arrows. Now tell me then. What was it? A. O. Narrator's note, these 3 lines are written in a special way all towards the center of the page. Line 1 reads, what was it, question mark. Line 2, capital A, 10 dots, exclamation mark. Line 3, question mark, 9 dots, capital O, exclamation mark. End of narrator's note. So there you are now, there they were, when all was over again, the 4 with them, sitting around up in their judges' chambers in the muniment room of their marshalsea, under the suspices of Lally, around their old traditional tables of the law, like so many Solons, to talk it over all the same again. Well and truly dry, suffering law the ring, according to King's Elands. So help her goat and kiss the book. Festives and hijinks, and Ginty on and her beaty Rossi Betty Doty, and not to forget now, Aduna O'Donnell. The 4 of them, and thank court now there were no more of them. So pass the push for port's sake, be it soon. Ah-ho. And do you remember Singabob, the bad father of the same, the great how'd you call him, and his old nickname, Dirty Daddy Pantaloons, in his monopoliums behind the War of the 2 Roses, with Michael Victory, the Sheeman's priester, before he caught his paper dispensation from the Pope, all Minnis and Minster York? Do I mind? I mind the gush up the man like Ballybop manure works on a trade Wednesday. and the O'Moyle Graces, and the O'Brien Rosses chaffing him blueface and playing him pranks. How do you do to do not, mister? Get into my way. Ah, dear o' me for sale, oh she, gone over the bays. When in a body meet a body. Yeah, why would he heed that old gasometer with his hoop and cocking on his dying